Seriously, let the Wi-Fi flip. So this is the order.
And the river.
And you're going to give us the pitches?
Yeah, we got it right here.
Okay.
May you dwell
Did we decide on dance I've done instead of work I've done?
Just like this.
Okay. Good? Okay.
I am a river flowing to the ocean. I am a river passing through this land. I am a river flowing to the ocean. I am a river passing through this land. I am a river flowing to the ocean. I am a river passing through this land. I am a river flowing to the ocean. I am a river passing through this land. I am a river flowing to the ocean. I am a river passing through this land. I am a river flowing to the ocean. I am a river passing through this land. I am a river flowing to the ocean. I am a river passing through this land. I am a river flowing to the ocean. I am a river passing through this land. I am a river flowing to the ocean. I am a river passing through this land. I am a river flowing to the ocean. I am a river passing through this land. I am a river flowing to the ocean. I am a river passing through this land. I am a river flowing to the ocean. I am a river passing through this land. I am a river flowing to the ocean. I am a river passing through this land. I am a river flowing to the ocean. I am a river passing through this land. I am a river flowing to the ocean. I am a river passing speak for me. Let the friends I've made speak for me. When I come to the end of this road and I lay down my heavy load, let the friends I've made speak for me. Let the work I've done speak for me. Let the work I've done speak for me. When I come to the end of this road and I lay down my heavy load, let the work I've done speak for me. Let the love I've shared speak for me. Let the love I've shared speak for me. When I come to the end of this road and I lay down my heavy load, let the love I've shared speak for me. Let the life I've lived speak for me. Let the life I've lived speak for me. When I come to the end of this road and I lay down my heavy load, let the life I've lived speak for me. Let the friends I've made speak for me. Let the friends I've made speak for me. When I come to the end of this road and I lay down my heavy load, let the friends I've made speak for me. Let the love I've shared speak for me. Let the love I've shared speak for me. When I come to the end of this road and I lay down my heavy load, let the love I've shared speak for me. Let the work I've done speak for me. Let the work I've done speak for me. When I come to the end of this road and I lay down my heavy load, let the love I've done speak for me. Let the love I've shared speak for me. shared, speak for me. When I come to the end of this road, and I lay down my heavy load, let the love I've shared speak for me. Let the dance I've danced speak for me. Let the dance I've danced speak for me. When I come to the end of this road, and I lay down my heavy load, let the dance I've danced speak for me. Let the life I've lived speak for me. Let the life I've lived speak for me. When I come to the end of this road, and I lay down my heavy load,
Ladies and gentlemen, if you could ask everyone to take a moment to turn off your cell phones, please. Ladies and gentlemen, interment will be at Arbor Crest Cemetery. The family of Karen Ann Simon will gather through tomorrow evening at the residence of Ronnie and Stu Simon at 7035 Warner Road in Saline for friends to call. Please note, for safety reasons, the family asks that you do not park on Warner Road, but instead park across the street from the Simons' house in the neighborhood. The family will use Stu's red van to shuttle people to the house. Handicap parking can pull up into the driveway. If you don't see the red van, call Stu on his cell, and the number is 734-545-2351. We do have this information printed out on sheets. They'll be out in the lobby as you leave the temple today after the service. Family and friends will gather from 6 to 9 p.m. tonight and tomorrow night, with religious services conducted at 7. Those of you wishing to further honor the memory of Karen Simon may best do so by means of a contribution to the Sun Shen Healing School or to the Southeast Michigan Doula. Did I pronounce that right? Doula, I apologize. Doula Project. Again, this information is printed out on sheets, and those of you who wish it, please feel free to take one as you leave today. Thank you.
And the child asked, "Tell me of life." And the sage answered, "Life, my child, is a mystery. We do not ask to be born, nor do we even understand the meaning of birth, of creation. We grow and we experience life's pleasures and pains. We love, and slowly, oh slowly, we come to realize that we have become, that we are. At that moment, we humble ourselves before the mystery of life and quietly say, though I knew not, I have been granted the most precious gift of all, the gift of life." And the child asked, "Tell me of death." And the sage answered, "Death, my child, is a mystery. It is the inevitable return of the gift of life, the gift which came free to us. We live as the trustee of that mysterious being, of that unexplainable becoming. Yes, you and I are but the trustees of life. We nurture it, we delight in it, we give of it to others, and at the appointed time we sadly, yet with pride, return it from whence it came. The beauty, my child, is that what we are, what we have become, remains long after the gift has been returned. It remains as a precious keepsake that with our loved ones who live on. We've come here to remember, to celebrate, to recall the memories, the stories, the moments that so many of us in this room here have experienced with Karen through her life. We also come here to acknowledge what the sage told that child, that there is so much of this life that we do not understand. The Jewish people make that acknowledgement with words of blessing. If you'll repeat after me, Baruch, Dayan, Ha'emet, blessed is the judge of truth. Adonai natan v'Adonai lekach, Hishem Adonai v'varach. God has given, God has taken, blessed be the name of God. We, of course, aware that the last 8 years of Karen's life haven't been easy. Death is better than a life of pain, and eternal rest is better than constant sickness. Let us not seek to understand what is too difficult for us, nor search for what is hidden, nor be preoccupied with what is beyond, for we have been shown more than we can comprehend. As a drop of water in the sea, as a grain of sand on the shore, are our few days in eternity. The good things in life last for a short time, but a good reputation endures forever. Karen, a poem for you. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember you. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember you. In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember you. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of the sun, we remember you. In the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember you. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember you. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember you. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember you. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember you. So long as we live, you too shall live. For you are a part of us now, as we remember you. We continue the words, Psalm 23.
Adonai roi lo echsar bin ot sheyar bitseni al me menuchot yenaleni nafshi yeshovev yancheni b'maglei tzedek yancheni b'maglei tzedek leman shemo gam kelech begeit salmavet lo irora ki ata imadi shivtecha umishantecha hema yenachamuni Taruch lefanai shulchan neged sorirai dishanta vashemen roshi kosi revaya ach
With God as my shepherd, I shall not want. The Eternal makes me lie down in green pastures, leads me beside the still waters, restores my soul, guides me in straight paths for the sake of God's name. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Eternal forever. Do not surrender your loneliness so quickly. Let it cut more deep. Let it ferment and season you as few human or even divine ingredients can. Something missing in my heart tonight has made my eyes so soft, my voice so tender, my need of God absolutely clear.
ברוכות הבאות תחת כנפי השכינה, ברוכים הבאים תחת כנפי השכינה. May you be blessed beneath the wings of Shekhinah. Be blessed with love, be blessed with peace. Bruchot habot tachat kanfei ha-Shekhinah. Bruchim habayim tachat kanfei ha-Shekhinah. May you be blessed beneath the wings of Shekhinah. Be blessed with love. Be blessed with peace. Be blessed with love. Be blessed with peace.
The Talmud teaches that each of us has three names. The name that our parents give us when we're born, the name that other people call us, and the name we acquire for ourselves. Karen called herself Glitter Warrior. The time of eulogizing is a time of those who can, those who are able, to help us see a part of the name that not only they called Karen, but also that she called herself. We invite first to the Bima Barry Simon.
There's a lot of love in this room. Last summer, my sister and I threw my parents' 50th wedding anniversary celebration, a love commitment between the most generous, unshakable, and devoted parents. After spending weeks trying to write the perfect speech to convey the depths of their love, agonizing over the meaning of words and thoughts to share, I asked my sister for some guided help. Within 20 minutes, I had 4 pages, front and back, of the tiniest, smallest scribbled notes that were so poetic and so beautiful and so thoughtful. Her words were always perfect. My sister never struggled with words, and on that day, she saved me. I don't think I ever gave her credit for that. My sister was a writer. Her words flowed like a gentle, deep stream, so vulnerable, with an ease of perfection, openly pouring her heart and soul into paper. She walked through life with a heart open wide to anyone that wanted to listen, to anyone that wanted to play, to anyone open to being close to her being. I must confess, I never thought of my sister as a writer until recently. As kids, I recall hanging out in her childhood bedroom, together flipping through one of her journals. Excuse me. And she told me she was sad. When I inquired why, she said, because no one will appreciate her writings until after she was gone. She knew she had a gift, and she wanted people to know the depths of her soul. She wanted to be heard. She knew she was special, even as a young child. In recent weeks past, she was feeling agitated, unable to write, her hand shaking, thoughts fuzzy. She kept repeating, "What's a writer who can no longer write?" This was the first time I heard her call herself a writer. I offered to transcribe thoughts for her, record her voice, do anything to help her get her words out. But she turned down the offer and steadily said, "No, I want to write a personal note to everybody I love. Each one to be different and special. So hold that close if you know who you are, because Karen wanted to write a personal note to each and every one of you. She wanted to gift you some words." I don't even know how to begin processing why we're all here today, or if I'll ever fully understand the exorbitant ways she has made me who I am. She passes on so many gifts, some I may not even be ready to explore. She's been a model of strength and courage, has given me permission to zig and zag. She taught me the meaning of checking in with myself and the importance of saying yes or no. She demonstrating listening is more important than talking, and what self-care looks like. I want to believe there's a timeliness to all shifts in the universe, and this is just a piece of the puzzle that may never fully be understood. My sister created her own norm, rarely followed a straight line. She questioned everything and embraced only that which felt good. My sister was a force to be reckoned with. She knew what she wanted and went after it, more often taking the road less traveled, changing directions if something didn't suit her soul, challenging people to show up, to be present, to be authentic. She sought intense connection and depth that at times made others uncomfortable, including myself. Her spirit was a bright light, and when engaged, attracted beautiful souls like magnets to her being. She existed on a level that sometimes made living in this world a challenge. She was complex and complicated, authentic and pure, an artist and a healer. She was a survivor who defied the odds. She will forever be a warrior. She is love. She is peace. My sister and I are so similar, yet complete opposites, all bundled up at the same time. We understand each other in a way that no one else could, and we triggered each other with a sideways glance. She was my best friend and my most challenging relationship. Every moment of every day. She was my mirror for all I was afraid to look at, my struggle, because I wanted her to be like me, and I wanted me to be more like her. We wanted to save each other. But Karen did Karen, and you couldn't help but love her. and want to help support her. Her spirit was magnetic and turned on. And she had the magic ability to make anybody feel seen and loved. She had a special, unique relationship with anyone fortunate enough to hold close. When I moved back to Michigan a handful of years ago, my sister welcomed me into her tribe of friends, encouraging me, inviting me to gatherings, wanting to share hers with me. You can get a sense of a person by the friends kept, and my sister surrounded herself with the brightest and most authentic. The greatest gift anyone can share is friends. These connections she has gifted me, some forever now, my sisterhood. Last week, a most beautiful day, Karen kept begging to go outside. She hated being confined indoors. She wanted to be close to the earth, to breathe in the fresh air. Laying outside with our bodies entwined on a bed of warm fall leaves, breathing in nature, exchanging energy, holding each other close. It was one of our true last moments, a connection so deep and unique that only sisters can share. Back inside, we spotted a praying mantis perched on her doorway. Shirley hitched a ride on our blankets. A praying mantis giving us the gift of peace, silence, and mindfulness, a symbol of balance and patience, the universe's way of reminding us it was time to slow down. On that last day, forever etched in my mind, in the last hours the family was gathered, listening to the same spiritual yet monotonous music we had been listening to for weeks. I decided to change things up. I played one of Karen's favorite upbeat playlists from her Spotify account. The energy and mood changed in the room. There was motion, there was movement for a couple of hours. And then she let go. It was as if she was granted permission to move, to jump and twirl and be free, laughing and giggling and doing this thing her way. Her spirit and soul craved dancing, and she'd left the world dancing to her own music. It was a moment. She did it her way. I couldn't save her. My sister loved forever.
It's my honor to invite Allison Bank to our bima.
I have to say that Karen knew how uncomfortable I am speaking in front of large groups of people, so wherever she is, she's giggling to help me loosen up. Karen and I met through summer camp. We were 11, and it was the mid-'80s, so we both had big curled hairspray hair and pegged jeans. She was long and lanky. I was probably the same size I am today. We were each living our best lives because being at camp and spending time with our camp friends was where we both felt most alive, most seen, and able to be our awkward preteen selves. We went to camp for many years together. We kissed Jewish boys behind cabins. We traveled to Israel together twice. And as with most camp friends, we never had an everyday relationship, but this only made our friendship more special. As soon as I met Karen, she was a constant presence in my life, even when our friendship faded to the background. Throughout college and our 20s, our lives took different paths, but each time they'd cross, we both were delighted at what similar adults we were growing up to be. And we'd write letters to each other about how cool it'd be if we ever lived in the same city. Fast forward to 2012, my husband and I were getting ready to move ourselves, our baby, and my business from California to Michigan. Every day I would panic, not knowing if we were doing the right thing. And so to soothe myself, I'd think, it'll be okay. Karen's there. And she did make it okay. When we arrived here, Karen was my star point. she introduced us to Demina, who helped raise our kids, and to a community of people who would eventually become close friends. She introduced me to her favorite weeping cherry tree in the Arb and did my dishes and changed diapers while I unpacked our house. We had our individual friendship outside of social circles that didn't overlap, which was just fine because we didn't want to have to share each other when we were with each other. We were born exactly 6 months apart, a fact we attributed to our being able to speak each other's language, and we often lamented the fact that we couldn't just marry each other when we were both frustrated with our husbands. I loved coming home to find Karen on my couch or in my guest bed or in the back deck, always trailing mason jars filled with murky medicinal teas. You know, a coloring book, at least 2 sparkly scarves, and her handwritten day planner. I was always amazed at how she never seemed to lose any of these things. And I loved being in Karen's house, marveling at the womb-like home she'd created, arts and crafts everywhere, always infused with elements of nature and Judaism, 2 important things she wanted to pass on to Hazel. Photos of her loved ones in handmade frames and delicately crafted terrariums when she was in her terrarium-making phase. Life always felt more sparkly with Karen around, even if we were just sitting by the wood stove in her old farmhouse or identifying plants and flowers on our walks. She infused everything with laughter and playfulness, so that even a day at chemo with her was filled with jokes and laughs that she skillfully drew out of the people taking care of her. She brought her witty sense of humor, her mischievous smile, and her clever ways of connecting with people everywhere. It was her gift to always help people feel seen, even when she was in pain from her cancer, and even when she was depressed. I can't talk about Karen without bringing up her very serious dedication to being silly. One winter, I was photographing her balms and salves and chapsticks for her Etsy site. Karen was assisting me. Her job was to add light to the shot by using a big white light disc. In the photography world, we refer to this as fill, as in filling in the shadows. So I'd ask her to bring in the fill during various frames. And it wasn't until months later when she came over and asked how Phil was doing, when it became clear that she thought I had named the light disc Philip and called it Phil for short. Because from Karen's perspective, why wouldn't I name my light disc? Dance parties and costumes and fully clothed hangouts in the dry bathtub were a normal part of how we spent our time together. Seeing her goof off with my kids always gave me a much-needed reality check, bringing me out of what she called very serious mama mode. Karen's generosity knew no bounds, even when she was tapped for energy and had to pull from her deepest resources to fight cancer, and almost just as important to her, to live a normal life for her and for Hazel. She led a life of service as a doula by supporting moms and babies and helping people organize messes in their homes that wreaked havoc on their emotional lives. She was an expert at bringing out people's vulnerabilities and then caring for those vulnerabilities with sensitivity and compassion. Karen was a creator of community, and I just have to note that there's so many people in this room that I know through Karen. She sought out connection in her every interaction and every relationship. She was a bit of an intimacy junkie, which gave her relationships an added layer of intensity. And honestly, our friendship was at times full of heartbreak as it was of love. We had a tumultuous relationship this past year. A terrible combination of bad timing and bad circumstances created a space in which we couldn't support each other like we wanted, as we each navigated our way through profound traumas. There were miscommunications and misunderstandings. And while I feel huge sadness over what was, I try to focus more on something a friend said to me last week, that authentic relationships can be complicated, that intimacy can be messy, that any relationship worth having is both complicated and messy, as was ours. But Karen knew that relationships are everything, so she was down to do the hard work they require, and for that she was rewarded with what she sought. The last time I saw Karen lucid, we cried together over lost time. And from then until the last morning she drew breath, we picked up right where we left off, holding hands, snuggling, clearing hair from her eyes, rubbing her cheeks. It was a gift to get this time with her, and I'll forever be grateful to her family for including me in it. Karen was an amazing mama, an herbalist, a weaver, an artist, an entrepreneur, a dancer, a doula, a writer, a jokester, and a truly magical spirit. She leaves behind a seemingly infinite number of admirers and adorers, so many people who were touched by her delicate yet fierce heart. I cherish the experience of literally being held up by Karen as I birthed my second baby. I lament that she didn't get to frolic in the snow on Monday because she would have loved it. I will miss her cryptic texts, which were more a form of poetry that required master decoding skills and a lot of patience. I'll be grateful that Karen chose to do cancer by focusing on living fully and with quality. I'll trust that she knows that we'll all help take care of Hazel and to keep her mama's memory alive for her. And I'll choose to believe that the force that was Karen doesn't just disappear, that kind of energy has to go somewhere, so it'll be dispersed into our world so we can always breathe her in.
And another friend of Karen's, Jenna Wonder.
Hi, everyone. I feel really honored and privileged to be invited by the family to stand up here today and share a little glimpse of my friendship with Karen. Karen and I met 8 years ago, about 6 months before she was diagnosed with cancer. We met at Demina's, which was the idyllic Waldorf preschool that Hazel and Levi went to together. Hazel was about 9 months old and Levi was a year and a half. I had heard of Karen before I actually met her. The first time I saw Karen, I was sitting inside of Demina's house and Karen was standing outside. I could see her through a window. She was wearing striped corduroy flared pants, a coral t-shirt, which turned out to be my favorite color on her, and a shiny scarf in her hair. And my first thought was, she is way too cool to want to be friends with me. I don't know how our first date happened, but we ended up sitting on Kate Ullman's front porch on the west side of Ann Arbor, talking for hours. And from there, we became sisters. And I know so many of us in the room feel like we were sisters with Karen. We practically raised our kids together before they started school. We spent so many days together. Quickly, we found a balance. We figured out that I was the cook, and she was the crafty person who would keep the kids busy while I cooked. A few of my favorite art projects. She came over with pine cones, peanut butter, and sunflower seeds so the kids could paint the pine cones and then roll them in sunflower seeds so we could hang them in the trees to feed the birds. She had a whole tub of rubber stamps, and she had little Russian doll rubber stamps so we could make little families. She brought over some type of white clay that we made fairy houses with and rolled them in purple glitter that we still have in our house. And my favorite project was when I went to the farmhouse and I walked in and she had all 4 burners on bubbling. It was like an alchemy lab. She was making natural dyes. And you know what we did with these 4 different dyes? We dyed circle-shaped noodles, 4 different colors. So, of course, the kids could make necklaces out of the circle noodles. When I cooked, Karen would always say, "Why is this food so good? What did you put in this? Oh my gosh," with her wooden spork and her ceramic bowls that she carried with her, her chopsticks. We called each other Mama Karen and Mama Jenna. I'm still referred to as Mama Jenna. And from there, we called each other Mommy. Mommy this, Mommy that. I love you, Mommy. Where are you, Mommy? I miss you, Mommy. For anyone who ever received a text or an email from Karen, I use the same word as Allison. Can you say cryptic? Can you say, huh? Question mark. Karen uncapitalized the first letter of every sentence, right? So, I love you was a lowercase I love you, period. As many of us know, Karen had her own brand line of salves and lip balms. She made a lip balm that had a reddish cranberry color to it. That was my favorite. I begged her to give me all of them. She gave me 6 or so, and a couple months later, I texted her a photo of 6 empty containers. Her response back, "You eat them?" Question mark. Recently, I started juicing for Karen again. A high maintenance job, if I do say so myself. I added the extra task of straining the juice so that it would be more palatable, drinkable. My very last text from Karen on October 25th was, "Juice is bueno, period." Karen's love language was cuddling. She wanted to cuddle with her friends. And just for anybody who doesn't know this side of her, let me explain. This is clothes on, laying down, holding hands, being close, touching each other's skin, talking, laughing, crying. I must admit, I was a reluctant and resistant cuddler. I have never cuddled my girlfriends before. Over the years, Karen lived with me on multiple occasions during chemo, after surgeries, and through other very difficult times. And of course, I wanted to cuddle her. I wanted to comfort her. So slowly, I learned her love language. I learned how to love Karen her way. She would squeal from the other bedroom, "Please come snuggie me." And this snugging skill served us very well, especially recently in the hospital, at Karen's parents' house, and finally in hospice. I slept at hospice twice. Both times I received major blessings. The first night was a Thursday night, and she was lucid. I was lucky. I brought her a salami sandwich with mustard on a bagel that she devoured. I was there it was me, Karen, and her dear friend Andrew, and I kid you not, her last dance party was in hospice, dancing to Prince. The second night I slept in hospice was just Friday. And Karen was unresponsive. And I realized then that this cuddling, this snugging, was a gift that she gave me. I was so comfortable touching her, kissing her cheek, holding her hands, smoothing her hair. It had become our love language. And I received so much being able to be that close to her. In Mahayana Buddhism, we receive teachings on developing equanimity. Equanimity is the aspiration of loving all beings, not just our closest circle, but strangers and people we have difficult relationships with. And the meditation practice is to develop enough compassion to be able to feel equally towards all beings. When you study equanimity, the gold standard of love, 100% pure love, is a mother's love for her only child. There is no greater, more pure love. What Karen didn't want was to leave Hazel. Sorry. As a child who has also lost a beloved parent, I want to assure Hazel that your mama's love is still alive. Love does not die. She will always be with you, always be connected to you, like the big cloud and the little cloud and the invisible string that your bubby read to you about. My intuitive guess is that whenever you see, Hazel, a rainbow of light dancing across a room, a sparkly reflection, you will know that that's your mama loving you, protecting you. I have never seen a more loving and dedicated and generous parents than Ronnie and Stu. And Barry, the way you loved Karen is just an inspiration. If love could have saved Karen, we wouldn't be here today. May her memory forever be a blessing to all of us who loved her.
We invite Sing Kim.
I'm in pumpkin color today because this is how Karen would have liked to see me, colorful. Originally, I was going to wear black, and it didn't feel right. So, I'm known as Master Kim. I am the spiritual director of a spiritual organization called Sunchen. I met Karen May 2nd of 2014. She came to me because of the cancer that she was dealing with. And what I do is I help people find the purpose in life and help people organize their life around that. And through body work, healing, energy systems, and organizing lifestyles, I help people make decisions towards that purpose. And so I got to know Karen from a different perspective. I got to know Karen from how she wanted to see herself. And what she believes her purpose to be. So there was a meeting, and the one thing I'd like to say from listening to all of you is that she really got what she wanted, which is how she wanted to be remembered. The reason I stand here today is because she asked me to stand and talk on behalf so that I don't think I'm doing a very good job at that right now. Because she wanted to be remembered by who she thought she was authentic. Her authentic self to be. She doesn't want to be remembered as someone who fought against cancer. And some of you who've known her for a long time knows that she also fought against depression. And she didn't want to be remembered by that. And so, because of all the talks that we've had, she asked me to speak on her behalf so that she'd be remembered, but what she considered to be her authentic part. So that's actually why I'm standing here today. So, and I'd like to say that we've succeeded. As a community and as her friends, we've succeeded. So, some of you may know, it's something I want to say, it's something that she wanted to be known as. Sometimes she would disappear. And some of you know that sometimes she would disappear, especially when she was struggling with her cancer, she would disappear. One of the reasons was because she didn't want to be defined and seen by that. And she didn't want the pity of people. She didn't want to be seen with sad eyes or eyes of concern. She wanted to share life. And it pained her because, as from all the stories you've heard, she loved life. She loved intimacy, and I can't think of a better word, but she was an intimacy junkie. When I heard that, I was like, wow. And when she felt that that would be become the focal point of life, she disappeared. She disappeared until she felt that she could emerge differently. And I'd like to say that she wanted to apologize to any one of you that felt that she abandoned you, rejected you, because that's not what she was doing. She wanted to connect with you. So, I teach calmness as a living. This is what it looks like. So one of the things she asked was to speak on their behalf, and then second, for Hazel, if you ever want to come and ask anything about your mommy, I'm here, and so is everyone else, as I've been saying. And she wanted to make sure that if you had any questions, in terms of how she saw things, that I'd be there for you. And that's a much bigger life goal. That's a much bigger job. But for today, I'm just here to say, I want to affirm all the things that you saw. I want to affirm because I think she had nothing to be concerned about, because you see her exactly the way she wanted to be seen. But for today, I just want to share some of the things that she wanted me to share with you. So the question I've been getting the most is, why was she called Glitter Warrior? So at Sunshine, we have a tradition where at some point, if you ever choose to change your name, you can change your name. And the rabbi said it really well, I feel, but it's so that you can actually choose a name for yourself. And we have some great names. We have a Mr. Ah, we have Miss Sparkles, we have Mr. Valentine, and we have a Sloth Master, and so on and so forth, just to name a few. It's good. It's a good life. So, Miss Glitter Warrior, I was allowed to call her Miss G-Dubs. I didn't know this, but I was the only one. And it kind of speaks to the specialness of that. And you'll find out quickly why. So, Glitter Warrior has two parts. Glitter and then Warrior. So here's part one. So I have all these memories streaming through. And so glitter is about magic. So if you know, I think you will realize that as the three people who spoke before me, they all used the word magic. And magic was an intimate part of Karen's life. She felt the magic in life, and she wanted all the people in her life to feel the magic in life with her, and whatever that is. And I think the best way I can do that is to kind of describe her life. And you've seen a lot of it, but I want to actually describe it from this perspective, what she meant. When there was magic, there was glitter. So Karen was the kind of person where when she had guests, she liked having special cups for people, special mugs. She liked actually having special something for everyone. And she liked choosing whatever it was she felt actually described the person the best. And as you can imagine, I mean, from all the stories you've heard, that actually really suits her to the T. I have in my office her salve. I have a wrist ornament that she created. There was a piece of we put the floors in ourselves at the dojo, and there was a little crack in it. We couldn't quite fit the pieces, and she came like a fairy, sprinkled some magic dust on it. It came back and the crack was gone. It was filled. And she complained that the color wasn't right. We have origami. A decoration that she created for one of our parties that was supposed to be temporary. And they're still hanging up today. Sorry, I'm gonna not make the 5 minutes. So, because they fit so well. And that was her approach to life, the small little things, to bring magic into things. But what she defined herself as most was that she was a mother. And she said that was her defining purpose in life. And she loved everything about being a mother. And she loved actually supporting mothers for the same reasons. And we know that. And she called herself Baby Whisperer. She loved, and it's kind of true, she loves cuddling, she loves taking care of needs. And when she holds a baby, she feels like she knows what the baby needs and wants. And one of the reasons why she was a doula. And one of the times when she was facing her fears, she realized that she was afraid of dying. And the reason she was afraid of dying was because she wanted Hazel to remember her. She wanted Hazel to remember by the good times, not by her sufferings or how she was struggling with cancer. And you should have seen her. When she realized that, she started projects, art projects. She started creating albums. She started creating letters. She started creating these things so that later on Hazel could go back and remember her by those things. And you know that about her. I don't think I need to talk about the cuddling and the snuggling. I just want to say this. She said, I'm a cuddle scientist. Okay, some of you remember that too. Okay. I don't think I need to talk about her love of dance, her poetry, her writing, her love of nature and ritual. I do want to talk a little bit about how much she loved organizing. She created she had her Artemisia services for her cells, right? And then she created something that's called Tidy Nest. And she wanted to help people process. She realized that things are very vulnerable. I have a little glitter, as this was given to me by my daughter, but probably Miss Glitteroy is an influence because I don't do glitter. And I don't do much color, but today I do. And the things that we have, they're special. And she helped people let go of the things that were no longer serving her. And she helped people retain the things that brought them joy. And she helped Tidy Nest. She helped people actually create a home for the life that was coming in. And things like that. And she loved craft, working on looms, woodwork. I can never pronounce the little thing that Jenna talked about when she was in her phase. Thank you, yes. It always was magical that she could pronounce it. And her house was a shrine. It was a shrine where when she entered in, she could feel the spiritual path that she was walking. And I think that's what life looked like to her. And I think that's what she wanted the life to be with her friends and all the people she knew, where it was magical and it was a spiritual life. And that's what she would talk about. And for all of you, you are her spiritual life. If you knew her, that was her spiritual path. And I wanted to let you know that. It was about deep connection and intimacy. And she was about turning everything into that kind of magic. When she started losing her hair from chemo, and some of you know this because there's a video of her doing this. But when she started losing her hair, and Hazel was concerned about her mom losing her hair, she actually created a ritual where she had Hazel cut her hair, shave her hair. And it's something that heals the soul when you watch it. And it's beautiful. And I thank the person who actually recorded that. And then she started wearing head wraps. The shaving of her head became her style. Who turns that into a style? And some of us have adapted it at Sunshine. One day she came in and said, I realized something. I'm a healer. And she realized that healing is actually bringing the authentic part of people out. As you're finding out by now that she was very playful, she was silly, she was witty, and she was mischievous. She was very mischievous. She loved getting you to do things that you would never do. So our sloth master dances, but he'd never danced to a point where all of a sudden his emotions started freeing up instead of flowing. And you realized that you could process your emotions dancing. It was a life-changing experience for him. And if you've known her, you've shared moments like that with her. So that brings us to part 2, the warrior. And the warrior is, she loved being able to face her fears and then turn them into magic, transform them into something. And the reason she named herself Glitter Warrior, now it comes together, is because she wanted to remember that's how she wanted to live. She wanted to remember that her life was supposed to be about magic, and that she wanted to face her fears and be a warrior to turn them into magic. Today she would want us to celebrate her and feel the magical moments and remember the magical moments about the life that she shared with us. She would want to remember that it wasn't about the cancer or the depression or the challenges that she fought. She didn't want to be defined by the valiant efforts or how hard she fought. But she wanted to be remembered by the magic she brought into life and the magic of living. And so I am here today to tell the tale of how she became Glitter Warrior and to paint a picture of what she wanted to remember. But I don't think I needed to do the second part. I think we all did that for ourselves. Thank you.
I have just one brief thought for you. Karen was diagnosed with her ovarian cancer in January of 2013. And at the time, she was given maybe a couple of years, that's all. Well, we have been blessed with her presence for over 7 years. And I believe there are 3 reasons that she accomplished that. 1 was her fighting spirit. 2 was having Hazel in her life. But 3, and this is for all of you, the support and love and caring of her adoring community of friends, many of you in this room, and some who are watching from a distance. You are responsible for much of her longevity, and the Simon family appreciates you deeply. Thank you very much.
All deaths are hard, at whatever age. All deaths are hard because there are people left behind, missing, searching, longing. All deaths are hard, and some are harder. We all understand that there is an order to life. We are born, we live, and eventually we all die. But with Karen's death comes a corruption of the order we've come to expect. Parents aren't supposed to bury their children, and young children aren't supposed to lose their mothers. Like some of you, I saw Karen in the last weeks of her life. I saw the excruciating pain she was in, pain that left her speechless, immobile, and at least we can be sure that she is no longer holding that pain. And yet the pain we feel, a life cut too short, of a world turned upside down, that too is real. There are no good answers in a moment like this. And in truth, now is not the time for questions. Now is the time for stories, as we've heard. Now is the time for remembrance. Now is the time to ensure eternal life in our lips, in our minds, in our hearts. As human beings, this is the answer to the questions that have no answers. Tell a story of Karen's life. Tell a story of her solves, of her weaving, of her dancing. Or better yet, let those things she left us, the artifacts of Karen's life, tell us her story. Her healing solves that have no recipes but are always just right. Her craftiness making earrings with hazel or just fixing broken necklaces, dance parties with disco balls. I only knew Karen a little, but I've come to know her more through the stories of her family. We've already heard from others who knew her much better than I. We all know that Karen moved through life in her own way, knowing when life became too uncomfortable and unaligned, Karen would find another way. She would find situations that could feed her soul. Of the many stories I heard of Karen, it was your story, Ronnie, of your insistence on her matching clothes that can help us all see the beginning of who Karen would become. When Karen was young, during the time in life when parents decide what a child wears, Karen was always matching. Her socks would match her shirt or sweater. This was the way things were, until interaction with some friends who maybe gave her a hard time about her matching socks. And from that moment on, Karen struck out on her own way and began expressing herself in new ways. It would have been an insignificant moment for many of us, but in this story is a kernel of Karen becoming, a revealing, maybe one of the first moments of Karen beginning to understand who she was. Karen sought intentional community, whether at Camp Young Judea, East Wind, the Lama Foundation, or Sun Shen. Karen was purpose-driven. It was with that same purpose and intentionality that she planned for the day she would no longer be here. Karen maybe had a hard time articulating out loud that she was dying. She was going to fight her cancer with all she had, and losing her battle wasn't something she talked about much. But she certainly prepared, especially when it came to Hazel. It was so important to Karen that Hazel grow into a strong, independent woman. Karen created a mentoring and guide program for Hazel, identifying individuals to teach Hazel the things Karen believed she would need to know. Some of those teachers are here with us today. Karen's mentoring program for Hazel's life education is thoughtful, and it is more than that. It is beautiful, and it is more than that. It is tender, and it is more than that. Karen's thoughtfulness about Hazel's life education is holy and sacred. We are pulled to the holy and sacred. We desire it. We want to bathe in it. And oftentimes it can feel elusive. In this week's Torah portion, Vayera, in the very first verse, Abraham is sitting with God and talking. Vayera elav Adonai be'elonei Mamre v'hu yeshev petach ohel kechom hayam. And God appeared to Abraham at the trees of Mamre. Abraham was sitting at the entrance of the tent as the day grew hot. God just appears with little warning. Without trumpet or announcer, holiness descends and just is. And then in the next verse, Abraham lifts up his eyes and sees three men approaching. And as quickly as God appeared, Abraham runs out to greet the messengers, leaving God, leaving the sacred without even a goodbye. Abraham feeds the guests, and the messengers talk about the coming birth of Abraham and Sarah's son Isaac. And 19 verses later, God returns, unannounced, picking up, it seems, mid-conversation with Abraham. And this is the nature of life. A seamless moving from the sacred to the everyday to the sacred once more. For some, this was the nature of relationship with Karen in life. A movement in and out of her presence, an intense holiness of her soul, and then maybe a time without, only to be graced again with her sacred nature. And this will be the way we move with Karen for the rest of our lives. In and out, receiving memories when we visit a place Karen once lived or we once met. A life conversation started, interrupted, and started again. Of course, the deeper meaning of the story of Abraham and God, the deeper meaning that may be offered to us is that God's presence, absence, and presence again is not the true nature of the sacred, but only our perception of the sacred. God appears, disappears, and appears again because Abraham's gaze is drawn elsewhere, but God never really left. Karen will never again appear to us as physical body. That is the nature of death. But that does not mean that Karen will never again appear to us. Karen is with us now. Karen will always be, whether we are mindful of her spirit or not. She will always be with us. That is the nature of the sacred. We continue asking God to gather Karen's soul underneath God's wings. Our prayer of remembrance, El Malei Rachamim. If you're able, please rise.
נשכבה ונאמר Amen.
Eternal God, compassionate God, Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Karen Simon, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in the shadow of your wings, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. Please be seated.
Ladies and gentlemen, in just a moment, we'll call for the pallbearers. We would ask that those of you planning on joining the family at the cemetery for the interment service, as the casket leaves the temple today, if you'll go directly to your cars, please. There will be no procession to the cemetery. There are directions on the table out in the lobby from here to the cemetery for those of you who may need it. Thank you.
My family did. I am not the voices in my head. I am not the piece of brokenness inside. I am light.